Hello, everyone, and welcome to 10 Days of Prayer, Priorities of Faith. Day 4, the freedom of a focused life of simplicity. And when you fast, do not look gloomy, like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, and that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly, I say to you that they received their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Matthew chapter 6, verses 16 to 18. The freedom of a focused life of simplicity. Fasting makes space. One way of creating space to live a life focused on God is fasting. Fasting means decluttering our minds and lives by deliberately making room for the movement of the Holy Spirit in us and by focusing on God and His Word. The Bible often mentions fasting in connection with prayer. Jesus fasted before he started his public ministry. The apostles fasted and prayed to be guided by God. And in Old Testament, fasting was frequently practiced among believing men and women. In contrast to wellness fasting, biblical fasting is not about observing a specific diet for weight loss and well-being. Instead, it is a conscious decision to abstain from food and distracting activities for a period of time to pray and commune with God. By temporarily giving up the familiar, we gain new spiritual freedom. During prayer and fasting, the focus of daily life changes. Away from satisfying our own needs, away from our own works, and toward obedient listening to God. Biblical fasting expresses our desire to increase our dependence on God and pay attention to spiritual things that matter. This encompasses more than not eating. In fact, it changes every area of our lives. In fasting, we acknowledge that we want to make space for God by reducing any distractions that crowd our attention and desire. We indicate that we want to seek and treasure God's presence in our lives more than anything else. Abstain and include. How can we live this life of simplicity, where we learn to concentrate on things that truly matter? Just as we need to watch what we eat, we must be mindful of what we put before our eyes and enters our ears. What we hear affects our thoughts just as much as what we see. What types of music, books, podcasts, or websites cause toxic thoughts or occupy your precious time with vanity? In addition to abstaining from certain things, you may need to deliberately include new habits to help build up and create healthy, healing thoughts. A life of simplicity, a mind unfrazzled, does not come from what the world tells us to pursue. A content heart comes from trusting God. When we learn to focus on Him rather than on what others are doing, and when we practice letting go of things that distract us, we discover a simpler life of rest and peace with our Creator and Redeemer.